your eyes and look around. Open your eyes. Do you see the very things that you read about coming true? Don't you realize the moments are near? Correct yourself in your affairs. He has made it crystal clear. These are the signs of the time.
Assalamu alaikum. Sunnah followers, new class, stay tuned.
Signs of the times.
Okay. Ina alhamdulillah, wa salat, wa salam ala wa rasulullah. I'd like to welcome everybody to our class entitled The Signs of the Last Hour. And I apologize for being late. You guys know it's kind of hard for me, kind of rough to get it going. You know, I'm always, I'm multitasking all the time, and I still haven't eaten dinner yet. I just thought about it. I haven't even eaten dinner yet. Oh God, what do I need to eat? I need to figure out what to eat too. But alhamdulillah, we're here now. And this class is, I'm doing this series on the signs of the last hour, because what I'm trying to do, my whole purpose as a daya with this class is to try to get the Muslims around the world to understand that everything that is happening in this world is happening because Allah willed it to. No human being on this purpose has the power to harm anyone. No human being on this earth has the power to even benefit anyone unless Allah allows it. And this is something that most Muslims today do not understand. And the simple fact that most Muslims today are putting too much power in the hands of man proves that. For example, what's happening in the world right now, the war against Islam, because that's what this is. This is not a war against Gaza. Hashtag don't get it twisted. We Muslims have to understand that this is not a war against Gaza. This is the beginning of the war against Islam. And this is not the first time it happened. You know, there have been other wars, like the Prophet ﷺ said, that would lead up to this. How many of you, we're so distraught because, again, the Prophet ﷺ told us that each generation of people, each generation of Muslims will be further and further away from the traditional Islam, to the point where the things that the Prophet Muhammad said, the things the Prophet Muhammad did will become forgotten and even and abandoned. And man will start to place the power of Allah upon and into the hands of the power of men. That's what's happening. And our Prophet ﷺ said that there will be many wars as a result, because every time we deviate away from remembering what our purpose is, Allah is going to send consequences, and it's going to take the form of war. This generation today, the generation of youth today, are so messed up. Let me give you an example as to how messed up the youth of today is. I am still in a state of shock at one of the questions that one of the kids, and he's a good kid, that one of the kids presented to me today during my 6 o'clock class. The young man, and he's a nice little young man. He wasn't trying to be harsh or facetious or any of that. He just wanted to know. He's in college. You know, he said, Sister Layla, the kids are talking about it. The Muslim kids are talking about it in college. They're talking about how it's a sin, that it's a shame that the government of Saudi Arabia won't let us protest in Mecca. It's a shame that the government of Saudi Arabia put a ban against anyone coming into Mecca with signs or flags of Palestine to protest. Isn't this wrong? Isn't the government wrong? I'm still in shock. I'm like, what? He said, yeah, the kids are talking about it in college, how they won't allow the people to make Hajj if they have a flag or if they coming in to protest. I mean, do we stop and think? This is Hajj. Hajj. Protest. Flags of Gaza. This is all an oxymoron. Hajj. Hajj is one of the most sacred things that we can do to show our commitment to Allah. Hajj. The city of Mecca. The sanctuary. Mecca was made a sanctuary by Prophet Abraham. He made dua to Allah, asking Allah to make Mecca a sanctuary free of violence, free of protest, free of anything other than the closeness of Allah. Do y'all get where I'm going with this? This is an oxymoron. What makes you young Muslims think that you can violate the Hajj by coming into Mecca, walking around the Kaaba with protest signs and flags of Gaza over you? Do y'all see the picture? This is one of the signs of the last hour. Mecca. You can't even kill a cockroach. When a person goes in ihram, this is sacred. There's no fighting in Mecca. The Prophet did everything to prevent there from being fighting in Mecca and Medina. He left Ali, radiallahu anhu, as the guard over Mecca when he went to face the Romans. It's a sanctuary. A sanctuary. And you got Muslims thinking that they should be allowed to go to Hajj, not to make Hajj. They don't want to go to Mecca to perform the pilgrimage. They don't want to go to Mecca to kiss the black stone. They don't want to go to Mecca to see somebody deal. Do I have any moderators here? Moderators, you guys are going to have to keep y'all's eyes on that Zoom room, because we will have to do that. Shaitan doesn't want the message of the truth to get out. Okay? These youth do not want to go to Mecca to perform Hajj. They don't want to go to Mecca to circumambulate the Kaaba. in the name of Allah. They want to go to Mecca to put up signs and protest against the decree of Allah. They want to wear they don't want to wear the ihram. The ihram that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam required us to wear. They want to wear a flag of Gaza and carry signs and be able to scream and yell and march saying, "Oh Allah, stop the war. Oh Allah, stop your decree. Oh Allah, you people are sick." This is where we are. And I hope that the famous brothers are listening to me, because this is the stuff you brothers need to be addressing. Y'all got to stop posting up dead pictures. I'm sorry, that ain't Islam either. Y'all got to stop inciting the youth of this nation, because by you brothers posting up pictures of dead people, all of you are doing is inciting anger out of the Muslim youth. And you guys know the youth today are ignorant. Most Muslim children don't even know how to pray. They've never heard of Wala Wabara. They don't know how to dress properly. And to show their ignorance, they are angry because the king of Saudi Arabia won't let them come and protest the sanctity of Mecca during the Hajj. They think that they should be allowed to come to the Hajj, not to perform it, but to wear a flag of Gaza and protest Allah's decree. You brothers are contributing to the ignorance of the Muslims instead of you famous brothers inciting their emotions. Y'all need to be talking like me, letting them understand that the Zionists are not in control here. Allah is. Allah says in the Quran, war comes from him. It don't come from man. It comes from him. And this ain't the first war. Just a few years ago, what did the Prophet say? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, we will deviate away from the true Islam. And as a result, Allah will send calamities. And all the calamities, the major calamities that befall this nation will come from the east. It will come from the direction of Iraq, the direction of Jerusalem, the direction of Syria. That's what the Prophet said. That's what Allah said. You brothers need to take them flags and burn them, along with your pictures of dead people. And you need to open up your books, your hadith books, and let these people, these stupid Muslim children of today, learn the basics. Like, number one, Mecca's a sanctity. And when you make Hajj, your mind is supposed to be on Allah, not Gaza, not a flag. And in Quran, we have to dress a certain way. You have you have to dress the way the Prophet said, not wrapped up in a flag. Are you stupid? You sisters need to go home and learn your deen and stop making public spectacles of yourself, because that's what you are. And then you want to go to Mecca not to perform Hajj. You want to go to Mecca to protest. You are a public spectacle and you're a nincompoop. And these are the signs of the last hour. And this is why Allah has sent this war. This war ain't going away. Any of you who think what's happening in the world is getting ready to stop, you're stupid. Like the Prophet said, it will begin there and it will spread to the rest of the world. It ain't going away. And this is not a war against Gaza. It's a war against Islam in the making. Why? Because you Muslims have deviated away from the Quran. You Muslims have deviated away from the Sunnah to the point that you don't even know the purpose of going to make Hajj, to the point that you think you can protest in Allah's holy sacred city. You're stupid. Like the Prophet said, the Qurayshites. You Muslim youth, you are Qurayshites. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you can recognize them. You will recognize who they are. They're young, foolish, emotional Muslims who don't even know the basics of Islam. That's you. You college students who don't understand why the government of Saudi Arabia won't let y'all come there. You're a Qurayshite. You're stupid. You don't know what Mecca is to us, and you call yourself a Muslim? And you famous brothers, y'all the ones that's fueling these young stupid kids. You brothers are fueling them with your pictures of dead bodies, your flags, and all you talk about is Gaza, 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 Gaza. When the Prophet Muhammad said, talk about Tawheed, talk about Tawheed, talk about Tawheed. Like he said, if you live to see these days, the only thing that will sustain you is La ilaha illallah. Allah sends war so we can see who the hypocrites are. We got a lot of hypocritical Muslims. In fact, I'll go so far as to say that. I will go so far as to say that most Muslims on this earth appear to have the behavior of hypocrites. I will go so far as to say that. Like the Prophet Muhammad said, the people of the Sunnah, the true believers, are few. You will look throughout the entire earth and only find a handful. The rest are hypocrites. Stupid, young, emotional, who don't even know the sanctity of Mecca. Don't know what an ihram is. And don't know that we don't have no flags in Islam. Islam, the Prophet Muhammad was sent to all mankind and jinn. Stupid. So I'm in shock about that. That's going to make it kind of hard for me to sleep tonight, knowing that in the American universities, Muslim children, Muslim youth are raised up angry, demanding the death of the king of Saudi Arabia and the death of all people because they are not allowed to make Hajj with the purpose of protesting around the Kaaba and wearing flags of Gaza. You people are sick. You're not of me. You're not of the Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And so tonight what I'm going to do is go over again all the signs that I've been speaking about up to this point. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said this would happen. As you guys can see, all the signs that lead up to the war against Islam is already here. That's why I tell y'all better learn to accept the qadr of Allah. You can protest, boycott, do whatever you want to do. That ain't stopping. That ain't going nowhere. That war ain't going nowhere except it's going to spread. It starts there. It started right there in Iraq. Like the Prophet said, it started in Iraq with Saddam Hussein. Y'all want me to break it down to y'all? It started in Iraq with Saddam Hussein. And then it went to Lebanon. Y'all forgot the war in Lebanon in the early 2000s too? And then it went to Syria. After it went to Bosnia. Oh yeah, y'all forgot Bosnia. Y'all forgot Afghanistan, the Taliban. Oh, y'all forgot it? I didn't. Then it went to Syria. And now it's Jerusalem, like the prophet said. What's next? Then it's going to spread. Oh, it's also in Africa. In Africa, we forget Africa. We forget the Sudan. We forget Somalia. We forget Ghana. We forget Nigeria. And then the prophet said, after it spreads from that it starts in the east, that's the eastern part of the world. The prophet said, then it'll spread to the west. America, the United Kingdom, Australia, South America, we're next. So what's happening? Who are your learned people? Like Muawiyah, may Allah be pleased with him. When Muawiyah went to Mecca, he asked, where are your scholars? Where are your learned men? Well, that's what I say today. Where are your true scholars? Where are your learned men that could have shared this information with you? Okay? It's getting ready to spread here. So all your protesting, and by the way, you're only protesting against Allah, because Allah done told us in the Quran that he's in charge. So you are protesting against Allah. And that right there puts a curse on you. Did y'all know that? I'm going to break it down the way these brothers should, but they won't, because they trying to get subscribers. I ain't here for the money. I'm here for Allah. Hello! You're protesting against Allah. And that puts a curse on you. All you've done is proven to the few learned people that there are more hypocrites in Islam than there are believers. So it's getting ready to spread to the west. It started like the prophet said, it started in the east, Iraq, Lebanon, Bosnia, Afghanistan, Syria, Jerusalem, Africa. Now it's going. When it hits us in the west, what y'all gonna do? Do you think you can wrap yourself up in the flag of Gaza and say and protest against the White House when they drag you to the concentration camps? Because that's what they're gonna do. That's what the Zionists have always done through history. They'll drag you into a concentration camp. Oh yeah, all Muslims in America will be dragged into concentration camps like they did the Native Americans on reservations, like they did the Japanese, the war against Japan, like they did the Viet Cong, the war against Vietnam. Oh yeah, what you gonna do? Stand in your concentration camp, wrapped in a flag of Gaza, still protesting Allah's decree, waiting on the Antichrist to come and save you, because you won't be on the side with the Mahdi. Anybody that doesn't accept the qadr of Allah, you are not a believer, and you will not be on the side with the Mahdi. You will be thinking that the Antichrist is Allah, because you ain't no believer. Keep protesting. You people keep on protesting. Keep on showing what side you on. Keep on proving Allah to be correct like he always is. Keep proving that Allah is just. Keep on protesting and keep on proving that Allah knows his creation And whatever he sends to his creation, they deserve it. They deserve it. They deserve it. Because we don't remember our purpose. So let me put the PowerPoint up on the screen. Because the hadiths tonight, again, addressed what leads up to the war against Islam. Why Allah sends it. Although Allah doesn't owe you or me an explanation as to why he sent the war to Gaza. Allah doesn't owe you an explanation why he's got babies dying in Gaza. He don't owe you an explanation. Just like he didn't owe an explanation about all the babies that died in Iraq or Lebanon or Bosnia or Afghanistan or Africa or anywhere else. He don't owe none of us an explanation. But he told you why. And I'm going to give you these hadiths today. So let me put the PowerPoint up on the screen. And I know people can get angry, but like I tell you guys, the truth is never a good pill to swallow. It's always a bitter pill. And I'm here to speak the truth. I'm not here to get subscribers. I'm not here looking for fame because I've been around longer than all these famous daya. I was doing this long before all of them on this internet. So if I wanted fame, I would have had it by now. I'm doing this for Allah. All right? Let me put the PowerPoint up here. Everybody pay attention to these hadiths. I'll go over them and I'll break them down because it bothers me that these college students do not understand why they can't protest during the Hajj in the sacred city of Mecca, strapped in flags with posters screaming and hollering, "Stop the war." Sad. All right, hold on. Here, let me put this up. Okay, one of the sisters here is typing on the screen. She said, "Layla, please do." She said, "One of my children is caught up in that." Yeah, a lot of the youth are. The little kid that, the brother that brought it up today, he's in college. That's why I'm addressing it. Okay, let me put the PowerPoint up on the screen. Okay? But Allah tells us why. And he talks about how it all begins with us. Remember the hadith we went over where the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us that he made dua to Allah when he was presented with the knowledge of what would happen to his nation and the Muslims nation that comes after him. He felt bad for us, for the true believer. He said, "Oh my God, only a handful will be holding firm to what I came with. Only a handful throughout the whole world will hold firm to the traditional Islam." And he felt sorry for us. He felt bad for us. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam made dua. He said, "Oh Allah, please do not allow the enemies of Islam to destroy my nation, to destroy my people." And that's when the Allah answered his dua. He said, "Oh Muhammad, your nation, despite all the fitan, I will never allow your nation to be destroyed or overpowered by its enemies." So what does that mean? That means you ain't got to worry about America. You ain't got to worry about the Zionists destroying Islam. Allah said that will never happen. He said your nation will never be destroyed by its enemies, but instead your people, your nation will destroy itself. They will fight each other. They will kill each other. They will destroy one another. So we ain't got to worry about the Zionists. They can only do what Allah allows them to do. You better look over your shoulder at that Muslim sitting next to you. Those stupid, ridiculous Muslim youth in American universities going around talking about how they think it's a shame that they can't go to, they want to go to Mecca, not to make Hajj. They want to go to Mecca to protest around the Kaaba against Gaza. Well, this is what the prophet said. We will appoint unqualified, stupid, ignorant people to positions of authority. As one of the parents here has typed and told me, it's the student council, the MSA association. I keep telling y'all to beware of those Muslim student associations. These Muslim student associations in the American universities. The women don't even dress properly. The men don't behave properly. But they call themselves advocating Islam. They call themselves speaking out for Gaza when they don't even know how to pray. They don't even know anything about the Hajj ceremony. Unqualified people holding positions of authority, holding positions of power, leading the rest of the Muslims astray. These are the signs of the last hour. And though these are the hadiths I'm going to address tonight. Listen to what Abu Hurairah tells us. He says, one day, while the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was sitting in a gathering talking, a Bedouin came and said, O Prophet of Allah, when will the last hour come? The Prophet ignored him and continued speaking. And then when he finished speaking, he said, where is the person who asked about it? About the last hour. And if that brother just came in, y'all let him know it'll be after this. He said, where's the person who came in here asking about the hour? And the man said, I am here. The prophet said the last hour will come when trust and honesty is lost. Y'all hear that? When trust and honesty is lost. And when the prophet said that, he was asked, how will trust and honesty be lost? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, when unqualified people are appointed to positions of authority and leadership, that's when you watch for the last hour. Hello. Now, is this not happening? We have all these Muslim student associations in most colleges, most universities here in America. These people don't know nothing about Islam. Like I say, half of them don't dress properly. They intermingle. They do all kind of things that's un-Islamic. Okay? And they're the ones leading the Muslim youth to think that they can go to Mecca, not to make Hajj, but they want to go to the Hajj to protest. See that? These are all the signs that lead up to this war. So this is happening. That's why Allah sent the war to Gaza and everywhere else it's going to go. Okay? Also, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, soon the world will be taken over and ruled by wicked sons of the wicked. That's already happening. If we study Islamic history, which you guys don't study because you don't know the hadiths, you memorizing how to sing the Quran, but you don't know the meaning of it because you have guarded the hadiths. But if you studied the hadiths, you would see that the evil referred to by the prophet here is one of the greatest trials that has befallen us. The affairs of this nation are being controlled by tyrants and oppressors and have been for a long time. Like I said, Saddam Hussein. Y'all think he was a good man? He was a tyrant. He was an oppressor. Just like all these leaders today, the Taliban, they were oppressors. Listen to what Muawiyah tells us, that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, there will be imams or leaders after me who will speak and no one will refute them, and they will rush into the fire like monkeys. Who is he talking about? The leaders of today. How many people refute these famous celebrities? These famous Muslim celebrities come on here and tell you that you ain't even got to wear a hijab, that a hijab is not mentioned in the Quran. They tell you that there's nothing wrong with women and men sitting together at a round table lecturing. They'll even go so far as to tell you that things that Allah made lawful are haram, and things he didn't make lawful are not, or whatever. And nobody corrects them. You worship your leaders. You worship these imams. You worship these sheikhs. They issue fatwas that go against what Allah said. They issue fatwas that go against what the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, and you don't care. You follow them into the hellfire. So now do y'all see why Allah sent the war in Gaza? And it didn't start in Gaza. It started with Iraq. It started with Kuwait. It started with Bosnia. It started with Lebanon. It started with Syria, Yemen. It's been going on. It's been leading up to where it is now. This is just the final place in that part of the world before it hits the West. Gaza, and then after Gaza, the West. So get ready, United Kingdom. Get ready, Australia. Get ready, America. That's just the final step before it comes to us. All right? Some of these rulers will be distracted by their desires and pleasures instead of taking care of the affairs of the Muslims. Now, these are not only the king of Saudi Arabia. It's not only the king of Oman. It's not only the Amir of Kuwait. It's not just the Amir. Don't just sit here and curse. I repeat, listen to me. I'm just a woman, but I am a woman that speaks the truth that these men are afraid to speak for whatever reasons. Call me Aisha, okay? I fear nothing but Allah, and I ain't here for no brownie points. Instead of cursing, it's not just the rulers in the Muslim lands, but it's talking about you rulers in the West too. You imam. Imam is an Arabic word that means leader. And the Prophet didn't just say leaders of countries. He said leaders, period, will be distracted by their desires. We see it in our masajids. We see it in the masajids right here in America. We talked about that in our 6 o'clock class. Your desires, the imams are too caught up in their paycheck and their own likes, their own dislikes, instead of taking care of the community. Instead of checking on those single women who have no mahram to care for them. I'm too busy trying to get me 2, 3, 4 wives. 2, 3, 4 wives. Y'all know I'm speaking the truth. And some of them, many of these leaders won't even know the truth. This is a problem in the West. A lot of these imams don't even know the hadith. They don't know the sunnah. They base everything on a mathab. What Imam Hanafi said, what Imam Malik said. Y'all listen to their lectures. They don't quote the prophet like I do. They don't quote the companions. They don't give you examples from the companions. They're speaking psychology. They're speaking sociology. And if they want to give a quote, it's from the 4 imams. They spread bitter, innovation, and evil. Listen to this hadith. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, there will be rulers who will be distracted by things. They will delay the prayer from its proper time. So when they do that, you make your prayer with them as voluntary. So he's not talking about the king of Saudi Arabia. He's not talking about the Amir of Kuwait. He's not talking about the Emirates. He's talking about you Muslim imams right here in these masjids in America. How many of you delay the prayer because you too busy dealing with your personal crap? And then when you do pray, the brother that made his prayer on time, he got to stand behind you and make it as a voluntary. So again, don't get it twisted. You Muslim youth who want to go to Mecca during the Hajj dressed in Gaza flags and protest around the Kaaba like an idiot. He's talking about you people right here in America. Distracted with politics. When's the last time you made your prayers on time, brothers? You MSA students, with all this protesting, boycotting, and all this other ignorance you doing. When's the last time you made your Fajr on time at the mosque? Have you prayed Fajr at the mosque recently? Have you prayed Isha at the mosque recently? You're distracted with the war of Gaza. The war of Gaza has distracted you. Subhanallah. Also, listen to this hadith of Salama. She said that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said there will be rulers, some of whose behavior you will find good, and some whose behavior you will find bad. Whoever hates their behavior will be free from blame, and whoever denounces them will be safe. But whoever accepts them and follows them will not be safe. I got 2 young girls whose parents are about to send them back to the Congo because they got caught up in this protesting at their university. Instead of them denouncing that crap, they got caught up in it and tore up a whole building. They're charged with felonies. They got to leave America. Their college days destroyed. Listening to the Muslim Students Association leaders who don't even dress in the proper attire and who probably ain't prayed a prayer in a mosque in quite some time. Y'all need to stop talking about the king of Saudi Arabia. Y'all need to stop talking about the Middle East, period, and look at yourself and check yourself, especially those of you who call yourselves leaders. Also, The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, not only will you have rulers or leaders who will delay the prayer, in other words, pray it out of its time, but they will also introduce innovations. And by the way, mark it down. Protesting is an innovation. Oh yeah, this is an innovation in Islam. Because the Prophet and his companions, they spent their entire lives at war, and none of them protested Allah's decree. They understood that war came from Allah. They dealt with it like Allah says to do in the Quran. So you guys are doing something haram, and it's haram because you are rejecting the fact that Allah is in control. So you fall in this category. You MSA leaders who are caught up in this nonsense. Not only do you delay the prayers, but now you done introduced another is the king of Saudi Arabia needs to be destroyed because he won't let us come to Mecca and protest during the Hajj. What type of sickness are you? And you wonder why Allah sent this war here. Listen to what Ibn Masud said. When Ibn Masud, when he heard the Prophet say this, he said that he asked the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, O Prophet of Allah, if we live to see this, where we have rulers and leaders amongst us who delay the prayer and who innovate, introducing actions and things into this religion that were not introduced by you, what should we do? The Prophet said, don't you know? You don't obey them. There is no obedience to a person who disobeys Allah. You stupid kids. These MSA leaders who are so ignorant that they don't know the sanctity of Mecca, they don't know the purpose of making Hajj. Why are you following them? Why are you obeying these people? Why are you protesting with them when they're that ignorant? And by the way, in regards to the leaders of the countries, like this man here, this the man. I didn't say I like this man. He's kind of pleasing on the eye, you know, good eye candy, but that's about it. I didn't say I like this person personally. He's the ruler. That's the ruler over Saudi Arabia. Yeah, he's the one that said if you think you're going to come into Mecca carrying a flag, or if you think you're going to come into Mecca protesting, you out your mind. This the man. He's good eye candy. That's about it. I don't care for him personally. But understand that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, even if you're rulers of a country like this, he's a ruler, the ruler of Saudi Arabia, the ruler of Oman, for example, the ruler of the Emirates. We cannot rebel against them if they're sinful. Why? Because of the trials and bloodshed that may result from it. And that's only if they're sinful. This man here, we can't call him nothing but sinful. Because as the Prophet said in another hadith, as long as they perform the prayers with you, as long as they perform the Hajj, as long as they are doing the Ramadan, we cannot rebel against him. Because anyone who declares La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah and they're openly practicing the religion, what does that mean? That means their blood Their honor and reputation and property is sacred. So you Muslim student associates calling this man a kafir, shame on you. We can't call people kafirs because he does pray. There's videos of him doing it. He's stopping you idiots from coming into Mecca to destroy the Hajj. And he declares when Ramadan begins. So you can call him a sinful person. But y'all need to take that kafir word up out of there, brothers and sisters, and fear Allah. Listen to what the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said. He said, after I am gone, you will see things that are not right. Whoever you see leaving from the majority of the Muslims, in other words, apostating, or wanting to create division in this nation, no matter who he is, kill him. But if he's not doing that, we can't. This man has not apostated. He's still praying. He's stopping you from coming into Mecca with your Gaza flags. He announces Ramadan. So his blood, his honor, his property is sacred. Unless he apostates publicly. What does that mean? Unless he gets on TV and declares that he does not believe in Allah, he does not acknowledge the Prophet Muhammad, you cannot call him a kafir. Unless he gets on TV and declares that praying and giving in charity are not obligations, he ain't no kafir. Unless he tells you, yes, you can come into the Hajj and bring your posters, bring your flags of Gaza and walk around the Kaaba. Now, if he told y'all that y'all could do it, then you could call him a kafir. But as of now, I'm sorry. No matter how much you may not like him as a person, like I said, he's very good eye candy. I think he's from my father's family. That's how good eye candy he is. But on a personal level, it's a different thing. But we cannot rebel against him. You cannot call him a kafir because he told your simple behind that you cannot make Hajj dressed in Gaza's flag, and you cannot protest around the Kaaba. All right. So I'm going to stop right here. These are all the actions that our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said will happen that will all lead to the war against Islam. Like I said, what's going on in that part of the world, it didn't start today. It's a process. Don't get it twisted. You got to learn these hadiths. It started with Bosnia and the Taliban and Iraq and Kuwait and Syria. This is a process that's been happening since the late 90s. Ever since the late 90s, guys, under the president of Bush, it's been leading to what it is now. The war against Islam has been happening and leading up to it since the Bush regime. This ain't nothing new. You kids don't know because y'all young and foolish. I'm old. I know what's been going on. And I've been preaching this stuff for a long time. Gaza, Jerusalem, that part of the world is the last part before it hits us. That's the last part before it hits us. The prophet said it'll all begin in the East. The East is happening. Africa too. The East. And then it'll make its way to the West. So get ready. When you foolish Muslims vote to put whatever kafir in the White House next, It'll probably be him who will sign the bill convincing the 80 countries of the United Nations to declare war against Islam. That's the next step. And you Muslims, like the Prophet said, Allah said, our destruction, our downfall will come from ourselves. You Muslims, with all your protesting and boycotting and emotionalism and ignorance and deviance away from the Sunnah, you're the ones that's causing Allah to do this. Cause and effect. We brought it on ourselves. We brought it on ourselves. You can only blame you as to why it's happening. Just like when it happened in Lebanon. I'll never forget that. Before the war in Lebanon happened, the women weren't even wearing hijabs over there. Alcohol was abundant. When they had that war that devastated Lebanon, then the Muslim women started practicing covering right, and the men, they stopped with the alcohol and stuff for a minute. I think they back to it now. We bring it on ourselves, people. And like I said, don't get it twisted. Just because a person's a Muslim and gets killed doesn't mean that that person's a martyr. Doesn't mean that that person's a good Muslim. We have the battle of Uhud. After the battle of Uhud, Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, he was walking and looking at the dead people, the men that were killed during this battle. And for every man he passed, he said, he's a martyr. He's a martyr. He's a martyr. The Prophet stopped him. He said, stop, Umar. He said, number one, only Allah knows. Only Allah knows. Only Allah knows who the true martyrs are. He said, Allah sends war as a means of cleansing the earth of bad, corrupt people. Allah also sends war as a means of differentiating who the true believers are from the hypocrites. That man that you just walked past and called a martyr, I see him right now in the hellfire, holding on to the red cloak that he stole from the war booty. What's the source? Sahih Bukhari. So don't get it twisted. Don't sit there thinking that everybody in Gaza that's dying is a martyr and good Muslims. Some of them are bad Muslims too. And only Allah knows who the true martyrs are. If the Prophet had to correct Umar during one of the greatest battles of history, Layla Nasheebah's correcting you simple Muslims today who are so emotional that y'all don't understand that Allah brought this war because of what we've done. So stop all this martyr stuff. Stop it. And instead do what the Prophet told the Muslims to do. He said, when Allah sends war, look at yourself. Ask yourself, am I a cause of this? When Allah sends war to cleanse this earth of corrupt, bad people, know that he also, for the good people, he sends war as a means of testing them with something better. If you survive it, he told the companions, should you survive it, look at yourself and ask yourself, are you basically the good guy or the bad guy? He said, fall upon your Aqidah. Fall upon La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah, and ask yourself, are you living up to that? He said, because that man right there, He didn't fight for Allah's sake. He fought for that red cloak that he's holding on to in that hellfire. So don't get it twisted, Muslims of 2024. This is what these brothers, this is what these famous brothers should be telling y'all. But of course they're not. Number one, they don't even know these hadiths, even though the hadiths are all in Bukhari. Number two, they don't understand the qadr of Allah. Many of them don't believe in the qadr of Allah. They think that the Zionist is doing all this. And number three, they're so messed up in their belief system, so messed up that they wouldn't know the truth if it hit them in the face. These are the signs of the last hour. Welcome to them. Okay, I'm going to stop right here. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Are there any questions? Do my Muslim college students understand why you cannot go to Mecca during the Hajj and protest? Y'all better stop protesting, period. This ain't Islam. That's Kafirisms. Kafirs protest the decree of Allah, not Muslims. We Muslims understand that Allah is in charge. We do like Umar said, we pray. We turn to Allah and ask Allah for protection. We ask Allah for guidance. We don't protest against anything Allah does. Do you young Muslim kids got it? Y'all need to stop following these other brothers who are just famous speakers, but they don't know nothing about this deen. They got y'all twisted. You think you can go to Mecca during Hajj and protest? You are insane. Comments. Oh, okay. The sister here said, thank you, Sister Layla. Okay, go ahead. Her son wants to type something. Go ahead.